Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the next episode of Create Astral. Y'all, I've been talking in my intros and outros about how much recorded footage I had from that first interaction of like updating to the new update, and I can't really conceptualize how much more work was recorded, and I think now we've updated the pack to the newest version. I'm kind of ready to progress, and my cyberpunk city is, well, lacking city. Not a lot of city going on over there. And I've been in the redstone contraptions and the create contraptions flow for like literally several months. So what I want to do now, I think, is I want to start prepping and I want to start building a little bit more in the actual cityscape over back behind me a ways. I'm just jonesing. I just got to do some building. And while I know a lot of my farms are still broken, case in point, those crops need to be harvested, don't they? And I know that we need a lot more farms to be built, but I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and walk you through some of the things that I accomplished instead of going through the building process. I think I'm just going to kind of give you an overview of what I've worked on, what we've done so far, and then we'll just move on from there. I know I've received some comments in the last video specifically about how you found it valuable to watch my thought process, and I can't iterate to you how much I appreciate those comments. I would love to have included that in this episode for the farms that we built since then, but unfortunately for the value of time management, I just don't think I'm going to be able to include it. However, I do plan to get back to streaming this pack, so if you do want to see a little bit more of that thought process, farm building techniques, stuff like that, you could always follow me over there on Twitch, and I'd really appreciate it. I don't have a huge following or anything like that, but we also do a little bit of farm building. I'm not scared to do redstone on stream. At any rate, I'm really excited to get started on what we've been working on since then, and the first thing I want to start with is this side of the city. I haven't shown this a ton over here on YouTube, but this is our oil rig, which is where we get all of our lava production, or at least got our lava production. Obviously nowadays I have an infinite lava source underneath the ground over here, and that's all well and good, but I still had all this lava farm set up whenever I made that infinite lava source. So I decided to use it for obsidian farming, which is actually kind of cool. We didn't do anything too high tech. Basically all of our lava pumps to this fluid tank here gets pumped out to these pumps here, which it looks like I haven't updated that since the update because Create version got updated and we don't need to alternate these anymore. That's kind of funny. But whenever we run low on obsidian in this vault right here, we actually read the inventory with this guy, which this is the strategy I do for most of my farm building. Whenever I want the machine to turn off, I use the threshold switch. We use the redstone link. We link that to whatever is generating the farm itself. Whenever obsidian lands in here, we send it over to here. We crush that down into some powdered obsidian. And this is what I've done since the update. I rerouted a little bit of this here, and we take our powdered obsidian, we send that through this process here, and this is a 100% chance of producing sturdy sheets. Sturdy sheets becomes a little bit more important in this version. Not that it was not important in the previous version, but now you need it to make like iron chests and stuff like that, which are now called sturdy chests. And so having that need for the sturdy sheets to be automatically done instead of, something I just bulk craft every once in a while, I decided to go ahead and make this happen. Oh, that's not correct. This is only supposed to spit out powdered obsidian. So it looks like I missed a filter there. And then this side is supposed to take all of the obsidian that doesn't get processed into powdered obsidian, sends it back over this way, and then it sends it back up into the vault above. But yeah, that's all the changes we've made over here in our lava farm and our obsidian farm. And now I think we can go ahead and walk through some of the other changes we've made since the update. Our clay truck is up and running, and it's working pretty beautifully. I love this setup that we've got over here. We used to have this full of molten clay, but now we've switched it over to just regular clay because molten clay is not really useful in the pack anymore, which at first really kind of scared me. But now that we actually have a use for clay blocks again, like we can grind that down into lots of different coral and things, which is great for automating prismarine. It's working out pretty well in my favor. Over here, we automated andesite with the new stone growth chambers. The andesite gets pulled directly out of the stone growth chamber, gets placed on the depot, and then gets inserted into our basin to create our andesite alloy with the mechanical arm over there. It's a whole lot less laggy because there's way less belts now. In the previous episode, we actually removed a bunch of the belts that were over here, and I realized kind of after the fact that I never hooked this mixer back up to power. So yeah, I should probably rectify that. Nobody caught it in the comments. I noticed whenever I was editing, and I was like, ooh, I better fix this before somebody calls me out. So let me do that really quick. What the? You can place a lever on the front. Oh, I don't like that. That was cursed. That's cursed. And realistically, I think the only thing I really got to do here is just send power over from this little millstone right here, which is not the most attractive way to do this, but it is a way. I guess I could do encased chain drives. I don't know. I personally like using encased chain drives. I know that a lot of people really don't like it when using encased chain drives. Lots of people have very strong opinions about that block, but it actually is not as much animations as things like, you know, cogwheels and other stuff like that. So you're actually saving yourself a little bit of FPS. And I speak from a position of zero authority, guys. This is just what makes sense in my brain. I know that animations cause FPS drain, so it makes sense for them to not be there. It would increase your FPS a bit. Excuse me, I have to murder some devil birds. Look at this model. Look at how far the model is from the actual hitbox of the Phantom. Can we please fix that? Like, I realize that this is a fresh animations problem and not like the issue with the pack, but like, I have to turn on hitboxes every time I want to kill a Phantom. It's really annoying. Alternatively, obviously, I could go ahead and do a couple vertical gearboxes and send a couple shafts, but that's actually a little bit more expensive, and I don't love doing that, so I'm just going to use some encased chain drives here. Reducing the number of animations is always better, in my humble opinion. Also, am I the only one who thinks that whenever you encase a shaft or like a belt or whatever, it should have like a sound? It needs like a auditory feedback of some sort, like a good ka-thunk or something. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's in any other version of Create. Like, they might have already solved this issue, but I can't think of a time where I ran into it. And I've played a lot of different versions of Create, not just the ones I play here on YouTube, but I don't know. Well, I was going to come over into the sand processing facility to kind of showcase some of the changes I made over here, but clearly I've broken something. Things are being requested even when they shouldn't be. I'm sorry, is some of this running backward? No, this belt is running the correct direction. So then why is that belt going the wrong way? Weird. Is there anything else going the wrong direction? Nope, this belt's going the right way. Well, I think what I got to do is I got to remove the block on the end here, and we just got to burn all the materials that are just sitting over here. So let's do that. Anyway, issues with our directions of our belts aside. Oh no, was I not bringing in any sugarcane though? Is all of this moving the right direction still? Oh. This isn't even moving at all. What have I broken? Is this stuff moving in the right direction? It is. So then why am I having so many issues? What on earth? Oh, this broke. And that's going the wrong direction. So if I do that, does it start everything going the right direction? Oh, it does. Y'all, I don't even know what's going on anymore. This is so close to my face. Y'all, I don't even know what's going on anymore. Essentially, the processes we used to have to use soul sand and change it into other stuff like gold and quartz is actually no longer a recipe in the pack. We're going to have to get gold and quartz with different methods. So pretty much all of this station has got to be taken down and moved at some point. Not something I'd done yet, but this was just realizations I had made between the ending of last episode and the beginning of this one. Additionally, we'll no longer be able to produce glistering melons or the golden carrots that we're making over on this side over here, because we actually just aren't going to be producing gold in that section. So until we get some sort of gold processing up and get the gold shipped over here, these actually probably won't work anymore. Now, that's not too much of a problem because we've got a really good stock of glowstone dust. We've got a pretty good stock of the gunpowder as well. I'd prefer that there was more gunpowder, but I also have to farm spider eyes anytime I want to jumpstart the production of this because I don't have fermented spider eyes accessible at this point. And that actually reminds me, I know that a lot of mob drops used to be automatable without killing the mobs. So is there a way to make spider eyes without killing spiders? We can mix gas. That's a thing. What is this gas? Quicksilver? Oh, it's mercury. Okay. Or we can get it in a chest, or cave spiders drop trinkets. So I guess we'd have to get into gas mixing in order to truly automate spider eyes, which we would then be able to get gunpowder for. But gunpowder is not super integral. I just really like blowing stuff up. So we haven't really moved forward any further with the limestone production. We're just making the limestone itself right now. And until we get cobblestone hooked up via trucks over here, we're not really going to turn this back on again. And for that reason alone, I decided to just not continue out the rest of the processing into lime dust, silver nuggets, and tin. And again, my textures are still broken. This tin looked different before. So many of my textures are still broken. If you guys know anything about how I can fix that, all of my chests are weird and stuff. Like those copper chests, they looked fantastic when I first did the pack. And I didn't reorganize any of the resource packs and they just broke, which I hate. So if you know anything about that or know how to help me fix it, please leave it in the comments. I'm dying over here. Quick side note, I'm aware of the fix that was posted in the Discord. Obviously, in the last episode, we ended up automating shimmer, which y'all also told me in the comments. There's a way to automate the actual buds themselves, so I didn't actually have to do this. It's obviously going to rely less on random tick if we do it the other way, where we automate the amethyst buds themselves. Because we can squirt water and shimmer alternating, and then it'll grow into a small amethyst bud. Then we would use that to grow it further, and then we would use that to grow it further, and then we would use that to create the amethyst cluster. And at the very end of that sequence, I believe... Oh, I was going to say we could break this with a pickaxe, with like the fortune pickaxes we made before, but molten... You get 2 blocks of amethyst clusters out of this. That's a guaranteed 8 shards, which obviously you can get a lot more with a fortune pickaxe, but like this is guaranteed 8. And that also might be less laggy? I'm not really sure. You can also... Oh, wait. You could totally grind these for 7. That's easy. I don't know. We could kind of come to that when we get to it. That's not super important right now. But eventually, we're probably going to end up having to switch over to that setup because these rely on random tick, and I have to be around for that. And whenever I'm standing over at my main tower, I'm not random ticking this area. That's actually why I decided to continue building my base out in that direction, because the further I am from this stuff, well, the less laggy it is. And these are chunk loaded, so the server is going to continue to run and process these materials, but if I don't have it loaded, that means my world is a little less framey, which is, you know, good. At the same time that we switch out the shimmer production, we're going to switch this out for haunted ink sacs so we can get the glow ink. It just doesn't really make as much sense to use glowstone long term. I don't have to move materials around that way, and it's honestly requires less of them. I'd rather use glowstone to do other stuff. And then comes the new machine that I have not shown y'all at all. Essentially, we took our clay truck and we swapped it out for item vaults, and we're compacting all those clay balls into clay blocks, putting them inside the truck and driving them over to this point here, which is actually where the clay truck used to drive. And instead of dropping off a liquid form, we're actually just dropping it off as an item form. And those via item drains just go right into this big vault right here. It's actually empty at this point because it almost immediately gets processed into this. So I actually could probably reduce the size of this item vault, but for now, you know, just as a proof of concept, I decided to do the farm this way. We bring the items all the way up, they move into this Tech Reborn storage unit here, and then we drop them down into some crushing wheels. And this was just to kind of reduce the footprint of this farm, but we could also change the way this works quite a bit. From here, we're going to get a lot of different drops. This is a lot of versions of coral. If you check out the crushing recipe for clay blocks, you get a bunch of different versions of coral, and you also get seagrass and kelp. Kelp is useful in a lot of different recipes, especially with shimmer involved. If you mix this with a bunch of different stuff, or if you compact it with stuff, you can make the full versions of coral blocks, and that's actually going to be really useful for what I had planned for today. So I'm actually sending the kelp down here to be stored into this vault, and we actually have about 10k chilling in there right now, which is a pretty good amount. And then we're also using that kelp here to create azurine. Now, before I get too far into that process, we send the coral over into this basin here, which gets compacted into prismarine shards. Those prismarine shards then get compacted into prismarine blocks, which we then separate out into 2 different places. We store some of the prismarine blocks here because, you know, they're pretty to build with, and also they're good for automation in other places. And then we also send some of it into some crushing wheels here. If we crush the prismarine, we get a pretty good amount of lapis, and then we also get these. Now, I figured out that these can also be used to automate diamonds. You can make diamond nuggets if you compact 8 of these, which means that we're going to be able to set up a pretty sick diamond farm pretty easily, which is exciting. From here, we take some of the prismarine out of this larger item vault in full block form. We pull it out through a Tech Reborn storage buffer. We pass it into this drawer access point, and then using some of these drawer connectors, which I'm probably going to call drawer trims a lot at some point. I apologize if I do. I'm just really used to storage drawers as a mod. So we use these drawer connectors to send it on over to here, where we have a downgraded drawer that is locked, sending items into this buffer and then on into this basin. This basin is then compacting kelp, prismarine, and blue dye to create the azurine right here. We then send some of that azurine over through some crushing wheels, and then we have a different drawer network here, which allows us to pick up a bunch of the cobalt that we had before. We're going to eventually get these drawers upgraded, but right now we're sending both the lapis and the blue dye over to here. We're sending the blue dye into here, and it's a little bit hard to see, but if I yoink this for a second, there's a drawer access point that pulls the blue dye out through the top right there. We send the lapis over to here to another drawer access point to get crushed further into blue dye, because we need the dye more than we need the lapis. So essentially the way this network works is it pulls all the blue dye out, but we could actually probably take some of the lapis, route it out to a different drawer, and keep some of it that way. It feels weird to have gone through just these last couple farms and realize that was the last 16 some odd hours of footage, but we're at a really, really good point now, and I want to kind of continue on with what we were doing before, but I also want to prep for the first big build outside of my skyscraper. For that, we're going to need a few key components. One of those components, which I've been ranting and raving about for several episodes, is the end rods. I'm so excited to finally have end rods in this world. I never got very far in the quest book in the previous version, so end rods are going to be super crucial. Very, very excited about them. But for that, we needed the shimmer. If I go into REI and we search end rods, we can actually backward engineer this popped chorus fruit, and we can now get popped chorus fruit via crushing bubble coral blocks. We make bubble coral by using the shimmer that we've just started producing, the kelp that we're getting from our crushing clay farm over there, and then we're going to have to figure out a way to produce purple dye. The tropical fish, I think, is actually a pretty easy solve. I talked a little bit about it in the previous episode. If you use sponges and you compact them, you can produce a bunch of different kinds of fish, and we can use 2 of these to produce the bubble coral that I'm trying to produce now. The purple dye would be the last big thing. Obviously, we're already producing some blue dye, so we could pull some blue dye from the system that we have over here and combine it with some form of red dye, but there's also some other things we can do. But we're going to need to figure out some form of milling or whatever to get the purple dye that we're going to need. Obviously, we'll be crushing the bubble coral block anyway, so we'll get some purple dye from that, but oh wait. Oh, dude. The purple dye will be self-sustaining. Essentially, all we have to do is send it right back into the system that we're getting the bubble coral from. We crush the bubble coral. It's going to output 1 purple dye, and it's going to have a 50% chance to produce 2 more. This only requires 1 purple dye, so we're going to be producing more purple dye than we're getting out of this process. So that's actually super easy. I think for my own sanity, it's probably best if I don't put that process in here, but that doesn't mean that we're going to have to move the shimmer to wherever else we do it. Since we're producing the lapis in this building, or at least kind of producing the lapis, we might have to actually double up on this somehow, but that leaves a lot of the building that was over here kind of up for grabs. And in my infinite wisdom, I made this building purple. Despite it being a building that I mainly called the Lapis building and wanted to only automate Lapis in, later on automating a lot of other resources. But like, this is definitely where we should produce the purple dye, right? I mean, it makes sense to me. So if we actually just send a little bit of the shimmer underground through a pipe or whatever, we could probably just make the bubble coral production in here. And then from there, I think the only other thing we need is just end rods. Because after we crush the bubble coral, we're going to get the chorus blocks that we need. And then we just need the blaze rods. And I'm really hoping nothing's changed here. Blazing blood. We can still melt entities. I'm not too worried about it though, because I already had blaze rods automated, or at least semi-automated in the previous version of the pack. DJ Steam and Reels, how's it going? Don't mind me. Just going backstage a little bit. Yeah, as you can see, well, or rather can't see, on the other side of this, we are actually melting blaze down into blaze rods, and we've got plenty of storage space left for these. I've already got 3,700, and I'm going to be crafting these by hand, so I'll probably just bulk craft the end rods myself, and then we can kind of move toward building the next big project. Now, I know that seems like a lot to kind of compact all into one episode, but I don't think I'm going to build the building in this episode. I think I'm just going to get all of the materials, rather, and prep for the next build, because it's going to be... well, it's going to be big, and it's going to go right here. One of the other really big things that we need is blackstone, which is something I never bothered producing in the previous version of the pack because it was so easy to get. Essentially, all I had to do was haunt cobblestone, but that's not a thing anymore because now to get blackstone, we have to superheat cobblestone. This is going to be terrible. I have to mix And I need so much blackstone. So either we go to Mars and find a biome that produces blackstone, or we make it ourselves, and that seems like a bit much. I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe I'll get all the other materials together, and we'll just see kind of where it takes us. All right, so I have been looking through the recipe book a little bit, and I wanted to go ahead and pop into a creative world to test out a few things in regards to producing coral blocks of different kinds. And then I wanted to throw together a design, and I got a little bit carried away, fleshing out kind of just everything. And well, there's a bit over there. I don't want to spoil too much. But there's a bit going on over there, and I want to probably completely overhaul my shimmer production. I realized I was talking in past tense in the first part of this episode about how I was done with the shimmer production, but I'm realizing now that the current shimmer production will not keep up in any capacity with coral production. So in order to get the end rods I need, we gotta kind of scrap some stuff. I might go back and cut some stuff out, but I'm going to try and leave it in so that y'all have some context. But yeah, let's hop back over onto the server and we'll check it out. Okay, I've made a bit of a spaghetti mess here. But essentially everything is set up, and the last thing we need to do is we need to route some kelp over to where we're at right now. And we're actually getting kelp from grinding down clay. Everything here is all set up and locked. We're getting these two types of fish from over. We're getting our fish from our sponge processing over here, which then gets routed all the way through this, all of these drawer connectors, all the way up to here. And then we just need kelp to go into this one, and then I can set up the last of the funnels that will get everything in place. This isn't going to look super good in the replay mod footage, so I'm going to go ahead and just finish this up right now. All right, so now if I have the drawer access point right here, whenever I run the drawer connectors over to that area right there, where we've got that little bit of drawer connector sticking down right there, this should be good to go. And I know that the range on these is actually like kind of insane, but I don't know exactly how insane. So I'm gonna do my best here to make this as few blocks as possible. Awesome. So now here's the moment of truth. If we are passing kelp, and it looks like we are, we're definitely going to be passing kelp over into that drawer that we set up that does not currently have a filter, which should work pretty good. It's just going to top off. It's just going to run out of space over in the drawer that we got right here. And then it should stop outputting out of the vault that we have over there. Not too bad. Okay, and I'm going to turn that back around for a second because there's a couple drawers over here that we have yet to lock. Yeah, this is exactly what I was worried about. So we're going to get all the kelp out of these guys, and then we're going to go ahead and lock all of these empty drawers. Actually, no, we're going to unlock all of these empty drawers. We're going to set up the final bits of the process, and we're going to let these filters fill in as we need them. And so for that, what we're going to need is just some brass funnels. Down here on the bottom, we're just going to do, actually on the bottom, these can be andesite funnels. So then the last things we're going to need to do here is just output a single die at a time. And these are going to go onto these, and they're going to get input into our basins here. I did this setup because I didn't want to have to run any belts, and this is kind of the perfect little situation here because the items will get deposited on the depot here, and it'll hold on top of the item drain. And there's other ways you can do this. Like obviously, like I could have fed these with the mechanical arms themselves, but it was just a little bit too inefficient. I didn't really feel like it. And then the last bits we're gonna need to do is we need a brass funnel, and I'm gonna face it in so we can get this setting correct. Click with an item to set. I should be able to filter out an item. We need 3 exactly to come out. Now if I do that, okay, that did not work how I expected it to work, but that's okay. So now we're outputting 3 items at a time from the belt drawer, and then the last thing we're going to need to do is put out a single item on each of these, and the mechanical arms are going to go ahead and feed these last 2 items into each of these. It's going to distribute them round robin, and I believe we are officially producing coral. Now, I'm not keeping any of this coral. I don't really feel like building with it at this point. At some point, there's a possibility I might want brain coral because it's like a really nice cobblestone variant type of block that you can use for pathways and stuff like that. But since I'm building mostly modern, I don't know for sure that I'm going to need that. For now, I think we're just going to grind all of it down, and everything should be filtering right into here. And it is. That is awesome. Also, you get pig iron from this, which I don't really know the use for pig iron, but I'm sure it's important at some point, right? I don't know. I'm just going to let this run for a little bit, and we're going to get the stuff that we need to make end rods. It's literally happening right now. Like I'm just waiting for the admins to come in. This is so exciting. But yeah, we should also be doubling our dyes as well. So we shouldn't be running out of any dyes. All of them should be filtering right back into here. I mean, this system is working absolutely beautifully. Oh, look, we've even got some more sponge in. And I believe I want to go ahead and lock this so that we have the filter. Oh my gosh, you get blaze powder from this? This is powerful. This is insanely powerful. I think I can grow this somehow, or oh yeah, okay, so you can use any sort of slime to create a full block, or you can mix it to make synthetic slime, and you can use synthetic slime to do what? I don't know. Slime stuff, I guess. And this is what I can use to create more sponges. Fantastic. Oh my god. It's real. It's here. It's beautiful. We have end rods. We have end rods. Oh my god. This is amazing. Okay, so now all of our coral is in a nice alignment. We can keep all of these, or we can grind them down later for more prismarine or whatever we want to do. I believe that is it for that. And yeah, I think now I just got to lock everything into place. Make sure we don't mess anything up here. And we do also get the nice the added benefit of ham. I don't even have to kill mobs for this. This is kind of insane. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm super, super happy with the addition of the extended drawers mod. It's been, well, kind of revolutionary. It's completely cut down on the amount of belts I have to run, and obviously it saves a lot of lag. So we're very happy about all this. And I believe most of this is already covered up too, so I don't even have to go back through and do a lot of encasing. But yeah, I think I have all the products that I need in order to create the end rods, and I think that's the last of the blocks that I need for the next big build, which is kind of insane. So we know exactly what we're doing next episode. I'm going to hang out next to this thing until it says like 500 and some, or I'm going to probably upgrade this drawer a lot is what I'm going to do. But I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I appreciate you so much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. If you want to subscribe, do it. and I will see you in the next one. Peace.